Hello, citizens of Gotham. My name is Graham Elwood. You are watching the Political Vigilante. So this was submitted, this story. Look at that crazy graphic popping up there. It's so enjoyable to watch that graphic. This was sent by Patreon supporter Alex Talk. Everybody, a great way to support the show is to go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood. The link is below. And one of the things you get at the $5 level, you get bonus audio, and you also, there's a $5 level where you can submit topics for me to talk about. It's really cool because you're making me aware of stuff, which makes everyone else aware. I like that we're building a community of political vigilantes. So this was an NPR. This came out about a week or two ago. Airbnb plans to remove listings in Israeli settlements. This is pretty significant. The Airbnb has been getting a lot of pressure from around the world. And this is what they've done, and we'll talk about what the reaction from the Israeli government is. And then I want to show you, there's this movement of Israeli soldiers that are starting to come forward and speak about what's not right about the occupation and the treatment of Palestinians. And I'm going to show a little clip of it later, but also I'm going to put a link in it. It's a pretty significant website, and I would highly recommend watching it. Israeli tourism minister Yariv Levin described it as a disgraceful surrender, while senior Palestinian negotiator called it an initial positive step. Broadly, settlements are viewed as an obstacle to peace by Palestinians, and the international community and the UN, Human Rights Council, and the UN Security Council have said settlements on land captured by Israeli are illegal under international law. And when I know the risk of being critical of Israel is that, I'm going to be called an anti-Semite, and I'm not. I'm anti-abuse of power. That's what I'm anti. I'm anti governments that are treating people unfairly. When a bunch of unarmed black men are shot by cops and all of these cops go acquitted, we have a problem. I think that's an abuse of power. When Tiger Swan is hired to go up to Standing Rock and water cannons and mace are shot at people who just want to protest a pipeline that has already leaked. They were right. The protesters were right. That can contaminate water. That's not right. It's just not right. The fact that Flint, Michigan still doesn't have drinkable water is not right. And the treatment of the Israeli government of Palestinians is not right. Unarmed Palestinians getting shot is not right. It's not right. And as I've said before, I always use this analogy. I was raised Catholic. I'm Irish Catholic. I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore. And I'm sorry. I am not, after growing up and seeing the abuse of power by the Catholic Church, I'm not going to blindly follow anybody. I don't hate my own kind. I just hate abuses of power and denial and people covering it up. And it's not right. And if you're an Israeli or you're Jewish, you should be even more outraged at this than anyone else. I read from a Holocaust survivor saying what this Holocaust survivor is hearing, how they're hearing Israelis refer to Palestinians as less human, and they're rats and they're vermin. And this survivor was like, that's how the Nazis referred to me and Jews. It's not right. It's not right. So here's the statement from Airbnb. We concluded that we should remove listings in Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank that are at the core of the dispute between Israelis and Palestinians, the company said. We know that people will disagree with this decision and appreciate their perspective. That's nice corporate speak. Levin, the guy from the Israeli government, has stated that the Ministry of Tourism is taking action to limit the company's activity throughout the country. So that's how they're going to respond. We're going to ban Airbnb from being used in Israel. So you're basically hurting your own citizens' ability to sell their own, to, rent out their own apartments. But I don't know, maybe Israelis, when they hear that Airbnb do this, they're going to ban them. I don't know. I'm sure some are going to. And Gilad Edrin, the Minister of Strategic Affairs, is encouraging people affected by the new policy to file lawsuits against Airbnb. This comes after pressure from rights groups. Human Rights Watch says it has been urging Airbnb to leave the controversial region for 2 years. Israel also, and the United States, refused to acknowledge the Armenian genocide. So the Ottoman Empire committed a horrific genocide against the Armenians in World War I. Turkey won't acknowledge it. The United States and Israel won't acknowledge it. Germany acknowledges it. Germany acknowledges the Armenian genocide, but Israel won't. Does that sound crazy to you? It sounds crazy to me. That sounds really crazy. And what is always said is, oh, you don't understand, it's too complicated. I grew up hearing all of the IRA stuff about Northern Ireland, My Irish grandmother, you couldn't say 2 bad words about the Catholic Church or the Kennedys. You just couldn't do it. She didn't want to hear it. And I was always told, England out of Ireland. And I'm not, England has done a lot of awful oppressive stuff in Northern Ireland. A lot of awful stuff. But then also the IRA would do a lot of terrorist bombings and stuff like that. And I don't know that I necessarily support that, but when Sinn Féin, which is the political arm of the IRA, started to do protesting, or stop doing terrorist acts and doing more nonviolent stuff and protesting and using it politically, things changed. So there just needs to be, when I see videos of Israelis sitting in lawn chairs cheering at Palestinians being shot, that's pretty horrifying. That's pretty horrifying. Like, we're tear gassing mothers and children at the border that just want a better life at the American border. It's just, I feel like globally we're all just, we've lost our souls globally. We're just doing awful things. And I don't know, maybe we've never had much of a soul as the human race. There's always just been the ruling class and everyone else. And they just, whoever is there in power abuses it. Doesn't matter. The Germans abused their power horrifically in World War II. Jews got their own state in Israel, which was wonderful, and now they're abusing their power. People freed England to start a better life here in America, and they, owned slaves and committed a genocide. I don't know, maybe the human race just will never figure its shit out, and maybe we're done. I don't know. Maybe the human race, if it can't figure its shit out, doesn't deserve to stay on this planet anymore. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Israelis say they feel singled out, while there are other conflicts going on that haven't received as much international scrutiny. Well, that's the thing with the Israelis. You can't abuse power and then play the victim. It's like Hillary Clinton. The senior management of Airbnb will have to explain why they specifically and uniquely chose to implement this political and discriminatory decision in the case of citizens of the State of Israel, said Erdogan. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They became political. Instead of building bridges, they are building fences. Well, you can't accuse Airbnb. Airbnb is not the problem, but you want to build, like, this is a quote from an Israeli that lives in one of the settlements. You can't go there, and if you see the map of what Palestine used to look like, and now how small it is because of all of the settlements, you can't be mad at Airbnb. Like, the Israeli government has helped create this situation. Airbnb is just reacting to it. So if you really want to build bridges instead of fences, you should do that. Israelis should do that. Businesses with ties to Israel's settlements are coming under increasing scrutiny from the United Nations. A report earlier This year from the UN, High Commissioner for Human Rights compiled a list of about 200 companies that do business with the settlements. As Eastern reported at the time, the U.S. and Israel urged the UN not to publish the list. And this is the other thing too, is America, we can't sit here and scream human rights violations when we let this stuff happen. It's just too hypocritical. We can't, it's just horrifying. A Palestinian throws a rock at an Israeli soldier and they get shot. And I'm going to show you a video, but I urge you to go to the website. I'll put the link in the show notes below. How the Palestinians are treated. Abby Martin did videos about this. She interviewed a former Israeli soldier. So we're not getting the real news here in America too. If you ever travel abroad, or those of you who live abroad, the mainstream media in Western Europe and other parts of the world is far more critical of Israel because we can't do that here. Why can't we be critical of Israel? Why can't we just be critical of anyone that's abusing power? Why can't we be critical of anyone? Why can't we ask questions? Isn't that what we should be doing as a free-thinking democracy? Be able to go, wait a minute, is that right? That doesn't seem right. Let's talk about this. Why isn't this right? Shut up, you hate Jews. No. I get to ask questions. I have a right to ask questions. I have a right to question the American government every day of my goddamn life. I get the right to do that. And anyone that we're doing business with, I have the fucking right to question them. Right? I give taxes to this country, to my government, and then some of that tax money goes to support war and Israel and how they're treating the Palestinians. I don't like it. I don't like how we treat Native Americans in this country. I don't like how we're treating illegal immigrants in this country. I don't like it. I don't like that. It's fucked up. I don't like or support the Catholic Church. I grew up seeing that. My first known memory of politics was watching Nixon resign. And then I started to hear about, as I got older, about the Catholic Church was abusing people in Chicago in the 80s and covering it up. And I saw the reverence for the priests and the Catholic Church and Catholics thinking they're better than everybody else. What? You're letting priests rape kids and you're covering it up. You're not better than anybody else. Catholics aren't better than anyone else, and fucking Israelis aren't better than anyone. Sorry, I'm going to question every goddamn thing that I can. Sorry. That's why I'm doing this show. Alone. I stand here alone. I stand on stage alone. I'm going to ask these questions. And if you're unwilling to, if you can't even hear these questions without flipping out, anyone who flips out in the comment section, Graham, then you're not a reasonable person. You know who's a reasonable person? This guy. This guy's a reasonable person.
אתה היום וכבר כמה שנים פעיל בשוברים שתיקה.
This is a former soldier.
למה להיות פעיל בשוברים שתיקה? למה אני פעיל בשוברים שתיקה? טוב, שוברים שתיקה בשבילי זה כמה דברים. קודם כל זה למה אני אספר את זה דרך אנקדוטה? איך הגעתי לשוברים שתיקה? כשהגעתי לשוברים שתיקה זה כי אתה התקשרת אליי. אתה התקשרת אליי כי אנחנו פשוט מכירים מישהו. אתה מכיר מישהו, אני מכיר מישהו, במקרה אנחנו מכירים את אותו מישהו. והוא נתן לך את הטלפון שלי, וכשזה היה כמעט שנה אחרי שהשתחררתי, וזה היה נשמע לי מופרך לגמרי. עכשיו, הסיבה שזה היה נשמע לי מופרך, וזה נראה לי, זה מה שאני רוצה, הסיבה שזה היה נשמע לי מופרך, זה בדיוק הסיבה שאני חושב שזה כל כך חשוב. והסיבה שאני עדיין שם. זה היה נשמע לי כל כך מופרך, כי מה, עזובתי באמא שלך. אתה דפוק, מה, אתה עכשיו תלך תספר, עשינו ככה, מה, על איזה פטריה אתה. כאילו, את מי זה מעניין? 1. 2, כאילו יש לי כוח עכשיו להתחיל לחפור עוד פעם בתוך החרא הזה. השתחררתי לפני שנה, אני רק מנסה לשכוח, ואתה עכשיו רוצה שאני אחפור בתוך זה. 3, שזה הדבר שהכי, זה, בעצם כשאני חושב על זה, מה אתה רוצה בכלל ממני? לא עשינו כלום. מה, אני עשיתי משהו רע? לא זוכר שעשיתי משהו רע בכלל. זאת הייתה התגובה. עכשיו, בגלל זה נשמע נורא, זה היה נשמע לי אז נורא מופרך, כל הסיפור. וזה בדיוק למה זה בדיוק מחדד למה זה כל כך חשוב. כי זה שזה היה נשמע לי כל כך מופרך, זה שהתגובה הראשונה שלי הייתה הכחשה, זה שהתגובה הראשונה שלי הייתה למה לחפור בזה, זה בדיוק הסיבה למה לחפור בזה. זה שאני הגבתי ככה, זה תגובה, אם אתה כאילו טיפה עושה זום אאוט, זאת התגובה הטבעית של ישראלים. למה לחפור בזה? וכשתגובה הטבעית של אנשים היא למה לחפור בזה, כשזה משהו שכל כך דומיננטי בחיים שלהם, אז מה שנאמר דרשני, כאילו זה בדיוק מצביע על זה שצריך לחפור. ולכן באיזשהו מובן שוברים שתיקה, זה הנודניק. זה הנודניק הזה שלא נותן לאנשים לנהל את חייהם כרגיל, כאילו ששום דבר לא קורה פה. כאילו שאנחנו חיים באיזו מדינה שכל מה שצריך להתעסק איתו זה עם המניות של חברה כזאת בבורסה עולה או יורדת, או עם התחבורה הציבורית של תל אביב היא מספיק טובה, או עם, אני יודע מה, אם באמת מעניינתי ששר האוצר יזדיין עם איזה מישהי מהצד. זה לא הסיפור. זה לא יכול להיות שזה מה שיעניין אותנו, כשבמרחק יריקה אנחנו מאמללים, מדכאים, הורגים, לפעמים רוצחים, בוזזים, פשוט מנהלים מנגנון שלם, שכל מטרתו דיכוי ואפליה.
So that's what he said. I can't sit around. This is an ex-Israeli soldier saying, I can't sit around and pretend like the biggest problem is the Tel Aviv public transportation, or this minister of finance screwed around with somebody when steps away were imprisoning and murdering and hurting people. There's a bunch of interviews from this guy. And I'll tell you right now, the website, I'll put the link in the show notes below. It's called Breaking the Silence. And it's a website of his mainly former Israeli soldiers and Israelis and Jews from around the world going saying this isn't right. That's what we're here for, guys, the truth. I don't have some axe to grind about some certain ethnic group or a religion, or I have axes to grind with abuses of power. You know, I'm anti-oppression. That's what I'm anti. You know, so I don't want to see it happen to anybody. I don't like seeing it happen here in America. I don't want to see it happen overseas. I don't want to see it happen at our borders. I don't want anything done in our name and with our money. I don't want to see it. I don't like it. It's not right. So we should all be like this guy. This guy's speaking up, and I'm sure he's taken a world of shit from other Israelis and vets and calling him he's selling out or whatever, I'm sure. But people are starting to wake up a little bit. That's what's happening right now. People are starting to wake up. You know, there's a lot of darkness in the world, but there's light shining through. There's light. This is light shining through right here. This is a guy bringing light through. That's what I'm trying to do with this show. Just shine a little light so that people can wake up. That's all I want to do, guys. Thanks for watching. Go to my grahamelwood.com for my tour dates. Support the show on Patreon. Like, subscribe, share the videos. Download the podcast on iTunes. Thanks for watching.